What's up, you guys? Rex here. So I learned a ton of cool stuff in my past week in medical school, but the most important thing I learned is that I am embarrassed that I have not yet memorized the phone number to poison control. Here's 5 reasons why I should have, and so should you. So first, what even is poison control? So there are 55 poison control centers in the United States. These are mostly funded by state governments. They also get a lot of research grants, they get some federal funding, and they get donations. And they provide a 24-hour free service to anyone in the United States that they can either call the number, which you should memorize. Here it is, 1-800-222-1222. Super easy to remember, but they also have an online web service, which I'll link down below. And so this is something that you can go to and is the resource. And really before this week, I'd only thought of poison control when I see that maybe written on a bottle somewhere of if ingested, call poison control center. That's about it. But I didn't really understand how useful of a resource this actually is. So number one is it's free. I've really started to appreciate the fact that medical care really costs a lot in America. And there are few and far between instances when you can get free medical advice that is truly the best advice available. And the poison control hotline, 1-800-222-1222, I feel like this is an infomercial, is the best advice you are going to get. It is better advice than you are going to get from your doctor or from the emergency department in the vast majority of cases. And it is 100% free. Number two, it might save your life. Now, there are a lot of cases that I'm just starting to learn about of poisonings that might seem like it's a harmless substance, but in really high quantities, it can eventually turn deadly. And it starts off with relatively small symptoms that you might think, it's just fine. I'll go to bed. I'll be all right in the morning. But if you had called Poison Control Center, you can immediately alleviate those risks, and they will tell you, they will know if, all right, you need to get yourself to the emergency department as soon as possible. They could very well save your life, and there is no harm in calling because it's free. Number three, it might save you a lot of money by saving you that trip to the emergency department. Most of the calls that go to the Poison Control Center don't end in them telling you, oh, you better just go to the emergency department. They are the experts. They will know if you actually don't have to go to the emergency department or go to a hospital or go see a doctor. There are a lot of poisonings that happen that can be cared for at home, but it's not something you should just take, all right, I'm going to Google it, take it into my own hands, take my chances. Call Poison Control. They can be the ones to save you the money. Don't think you will just save yourself money by not going to the hospital. Let Poison Control be the one to tell you that. And this is greatly backed up by the data. Poison Control overall receives a budget of around like $150 million, which is like tiny. And they save the United States like almost $2 billion in healthcare costs a year by allowing people to just treat themselves at home, whether that is just knowing that they can rest and they will be okay and have that peace of mind rather than having to go to the hospital. So it will save you money, and it saves our country a ton of money. And it is a shame how underfunded poison control centers are. So number four is to help them get funded. I learned this week that the actual call volume to poison control centers can help dictate their funding. And so there are times when doctors will call poison control, even maybe they don't totally need to, but they want to establish and build that relationship because they want to make sure and double check for the safety of their patients. But also it is good because it is helping the Poison Control Center get more funding because they can show higher call volume. So it is your own incentive to call Poison Control for your safety and to get the best information available. And it is also advantageous to the Poison Control Center to receive your call because it can help them get more funding, and they can save more lives and help more people and ultimately save more people money. And number five is, even if you go to the hospital, the doctor's probably calling Poison Control anyway. That was something that was really cool I learned when we went through a lot of very complicated case studies, and it was amazing to me how complex a lot of poisonings can be because they impact so many different systems, and there can be so many different variables considering pre-existing conditions and maybe other drug interactions going on, considering if the person who has been poisoned is pregnant or if they are very young or if they're old. There are so many variables, and even doctors who do this day in and day out, they still almost every time call Poison Control Center. So we learned do this, do this, do this. Step number 5, call Poison Control and ask them if you're doing the right thing because they are ultimately the number one experts. And it's crazy that we have the number one experts in a field of medicine and a field that is directly impacting our care at our fingertips for free. You cannot say that about healthcare in America for pretty much anything else. So memorize your poison control center number, 1-800-222-1222. Have it memorized right next to 911. Understand you still need to call 911 if someone collapses, if someone is having a seizure, if someone is unable to breathe, if they are unconscious and you can't rouse them. Yes, call 911, but probably while you're waiting for the ambulance, if you are not a trained medical professional and able to care for that patient, call poison control anyway in that case, because they might tell you something that would be helpful to the EMTs that arrive first on scene, or tell you something you can do in the meantime. First call, always 911 in serious situations, but that doesn't mean call number 2 cannot still be poison control center. Again, 1-800-222-1222. All right, this has been my rant/infomercial for Poison Control Center. It's awesome. Use that number. Love that we have this service in America. All right, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'd love to hear about them down below. If you want to catch more of my videos where I talk about cool stuff I've learned in my weeks in medical school, or see my videos on the medical school application process, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell to catch my latest upload. As always, like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. And until next time, don't be ordinary, go be great.